Have you ever stepped into someone's home and left not with a full heart, but with a quiet ache you couldn't quite explain? You came to connect, to share a moment, a story, a little piece of joy you've held on to. But instead, you walked away feeling smaller, not in body but in spirit, as if your presence had been politely endured, not truly welcomed. And maybe now, in these later years, you've started to notice something. Some homes don't nourish your soul anymore. Some visits leave you more drained than comforted. And maybe you've caught yourself wondering, why do I feel like I still need to explain myself? Why does my joy feel like something I must tone down just to make others more comfortable? If you've ever felt this way, even once, then this message is for you. Because no matter how free you are at this stage of life, there are still 4 kinds of homes you should never walk into again, not out of anger, not to punish anyone, but to honor the peace you fought too long to finally earn. And if you've ever felt overlooked, uncelebrated, or quietly dismissed as you've grown older, leave a comment below to let us know you're here, because your presence matters more than ever. And if this message speaks to something real in you, please like, share, and subscribe. You deserve a space that speaks with honesty, heart, and the wisdom of a life deeply lived. Let's begin with the first kind of person you should be careful around. 1. People who resent your growth. Have you ever shared a personal achievement, a promotion, a new relationship, a creative breakthrough, or even a health milestone, only to be met with something less than genuine enthusiasm? Perhaps it's a forced smile, a half-hearted compliment, or an offhand remark that undermines your success. Instead of warmth and celebration, you feel a subtle chill, a vague discomfort that lingers long after the conversation ends. This unsettling experience often signals that you're in the presence of someone who resents your growth. While their resentment may not always be overt, it operates insidiously, poisoning interactions and eroding your sense of accomplishment over time. The fundamental problem with engaging individuals who harbor resentment toward your progress is the toxic environment they create. This isn't merely awkward or unpleasant, it's actively harmful to your emotional well-being. One of the most common ways this toxicity manifests is through the subtle undermining of your achievements. Instead of offering heartfelt congratulations, they might respond with faint praise like, "Oh, that's nice," or immediately change the subject. They might even make comments designed to minimize your success, such as, "Well, anyone could have done that with your resources," or "Enjoy it while it lasts." These remarks, though seemingly harmless, chip away at the joy and validation you deserve. Over time, they can make your accomplishments feel less significant, leaving you questioning their value. Another way this resentment shows itself is through deliberate erosion of your confidence. Often, their negativity isn't about anything you've done wrong. It's a reflection of their own insecurities and dissatisfaction with their lives. Your growth inadvertently highlights what they perceive as their own failures or stagnation. Instead of confronting these feelings internally, they project them onto you. This projection might come in the form of passive-aggressive comments, unwarranted criticism disguised as concern, or a general air of disapproval that makes you second-guess yourself. They might imply that your success was unearned, that you've changed for the worse, or that you're forgetting where you came from. Over time, this constant barrage of negativity can significantly erode your self-belief, making you question your decisions and downplay your achievements to avoid triggering their resentment. Perhaps the most insidious aspect of this dynamic is how they make you feel guilty for your progress. Their resentment often comes with subtle, guilt-tripping tactics, implying that your success somehow diminishes them or breaks an unspoken rule of loyalty. They might suggest that you've become arrogant, neglectful, or selfish, planting seeds of doubt that make you feel uncomfortable with your own growth. This guilt can lead to self-censorship. You might find yourself hiding your achievements, apologizing for good news, or constantly reassuring them to ease their discomfort. Instead of enjoying your success, you expend precious emotional energy managing their reactions, shrinking yourself to fit into their narrative. The cumulative effect of this undermining, projection, and guilt induction is a deeply toxic environment that stifles joy, breeds self-doubt, and makes growth feel like a transgression rather than a triumph. Recognizing this damaging pattern is the first step toward reclaiming your emotional equilibrium. It requires honesty with yourself about how these interactions truly make you feel. Once you identify the source of the negativity, you open the door to a powerful promise. By consciously choosing to distance yourself from these individuals, you protect your invaluable sense of self-worth, shield your ambitions from corrosive effects, and free yourself to celebrate your hard-earned success without apology or guilt. Choosing distance is not an act of malice. It's an act of self-preservation. This might mean limiting contact, keeping interactions superficial, or refusing to share details about your successes with these specific individuals. In cases of persistent toxicity, it may even involve ending the relationship altogether. This deliberate separation protects your sense of self-worth by removing the primary source of undermining comments and projected insecurities. Away from their negativity, your confidence can recover and strengthen, grounded in the reality of your achievements rather than their distorted perceptions. Distance also acts as a vital shield, protecting your ambitions from the corrosive effects of their resentment. When you're no longer bracing for envious reactions or having your dreams mocked or minimized, you can nurture your goals in a healthier mental space. Your motivation remains intact, and your vision for the future isn't clouded by their negativity. Most liberatingly, this distance frees you to celebrate your success without apology or guilt. You create the emotional space to genuinely enjoy your accomplishments, share them with supportive people, and integrate them positively into your self-concept. Underpinning this necessary boundary setting is a crucial truth. Resentment from others about your growth almost always stems from their internal struggles, not from your actions or successes. Their envy, feelings of inadequacy, or dissatisfaction with their own lives are the true sources of their negativity. Your success merely acts as a trigger for these pre-existing issues. Understanding this reframes the situation entirely. You are not responsible for managing their insecurities or shrinking yourself to make them feel comfortable. Genuine supporters celebrate your progress. They find joy in your joy, offer encouragement during struggles, and feel inspired, not threatened by your achievements. Surrounding yourself with such people is not selfish. It's essential for maintaining the positive energy and confidence required to continue growing and thriving. Trying to appease someone who resents your growth is a futile endeavor. It rarely resolves their underlying issues and usually comes at the cost of your happiness and authenticity. Ultimately, choosing relationships and environments that nurture your potential is about reclaiming your right to thrive without apology. It's about prioritizing your emotional well-being and safeguarding your energy from those who seek to diminish it. By setting boundaries and surrounding yourself with genuine supporters, you empower yourself to continue growing, succeeding, and living a fulfilling life. Resentment may attempt to pull you back, but your choice to rise above it affirms your journey and your worth. And where resentment simmers in silence, negativity spills into every conversation. Which brings us to the second kind. 2. People who thrive on misery and negativity. You know that person who always seems to have a dark cloud hanging over them, no matter the day or situation? The one who, no matter how good things are, finds a way to focus on what's wrong? Spending time with them feels like walking into a room where the air is heavy, like something invisible is pressing down on you. At first you might think, maybe they're just going through a tough time, but then you realize, this isn't a phase. This is who they are. They thrive on misery, and their negativity has a way of creeping into your life, draining your energy, and making you question everything you thought you knew about happiness. It starts subtly. Maybe they complain about the weather, their job, or how their coffee wasn't made right. You nod, empathize, and try to cheer them up. But then it happens again and again. Soon every conversation feels like a spiral into their endless list of grievances. It's not just the big stuff. They'll find fault in the tiniest things, things you didn't even notice. They'll nitpick, criticize, and sigh their way through every interaction, leaving you feeling like you've been emotionally wrung out. The worst part? Their negativity is contagious. You don't notice it at first, but after spending time with them, you start to feel heavier yourself. Maybe you catch yourself complaining more, or you start seeing problems where you used to see possibilities. Their misery spreads like wildfire, and before you know it, you're carrying some of their burden too. It's like they've handed you a backpack full of rocks, and you didn't even realize you were carrying it. But it doesn't stop there. People who thrive on misery have this uncanny ability to reject any shred of positivity you throw their way. Try offering them advice or a solution, and they'll shoot it down faster than you can blink. "That won't work," they'll say, or "You don't understand how bad it is." It's like they're determined to stay stuck, no matter how much you try to help. And honestly, it's exhausting. You want to be there for them, but the one-sidedness of it all starts to wear you down. You realize that no matter how much you pour into them, they're not interested in moving forward. They're comfortable in their misery. What's even more frustrating is how their negativity starts to seep into your dreams and ambitions. They'll make comments that seem harmless at first, but when you think about them later, they sting. Maybe you tell them about a new project you're excited about, and they say, "Well, I guess that's nice, but don't get your hopes up." Or you share a personal win, and they respond with, "Must be nice to have everything handed to you." These little jabs might seem insignificant in the moment, but they add up. Before long, you're second-guessing yourself, wondering if you're really as capable or deserving as you thought. And then comes the guilt. Oh, the guilt. You start feeling bad for being happy around them, like your joy is somehow offensive. You hesitate to share good news because you don't want to trigger their negativity. You downplay your successes, hold back your excitement, and shrink yourself just to keep the peace. It's a terrible feeling, like you're betraying your own happiness to accommodate someone else's misery. So what do? How do you handle someone who seems determined to pull you into their world of negativity? The first step is simple but powerful. Recognize the pattern. Understand that their misery is not your responsibility. You didn't create it, and you can't fix it. Their negativity comes from their own unresolved issues, and no amount of cheerleading or advice will change that unless they're ready to change themselves. Next, set boundaries. This doesn't mean you have to cut them off completely, unless their behavior is truly toxic. But it does mean protecting your energy. Limit the time you spend with them, steer conversations away from their usual complaints, and don't feel obligated to engage in their cycles of negativity. If they insist on dragging every interaction into their pit of misery, it's okay to step back. You have the right to prioritize your mental and emotional health. And here's the most important part. Surround yourself with people who lift you up. Find those friends, family members, or colleagues who celebrate your wins, encourage your growth, and bring light into your life. These are the people who remind you of what's good in the world, who inspire you to keep moving forward. They're the antidote to the negativity that tries to pull you down. It's not easy to distance yourself from someone who thrives on misery, especially if there's someone you care about. But here's the truth. You can't pour from an empty cup. If their negativity is draining you, you won't have the energy to focus on your own happiness, let alone help them. Sometimes the best thing you can do for both of you is to step back and let them find their own way. Life is too short to be weighed down by someone else's misery. You deserve to feel light, hopeful, and excited about the future. Protect your energy, choose positivity, and give yourself permission to thrive, even if it means leaving some people behind. Misery loves company, but happiness loves freedom. Choose yours. But even more difficult are the people who've known you the longest, because sometimes they can't see who you've become. 3. People who refuse to see your growth. You've worked hard. Maybe it's been years of effort, sacrifice, and self-discovery. You've grown, evolved, and become someone stronger, wiser, and more capable than you used to be. But then, there's that one person, or maybe a few, who just can't seem to acknowledge it. To them, you're still the same person you were 5, 10, or even 15 years ago. They refuse to see your growth, and no matter how far you've come, they insist on keeping you trapped in a version of yourself that no longer exists. At first, you might brush it off. Maybe they just need time to adjust, you think. After all, change can be hard for people to accept, especially when they've known you for a long time. but then it keeps happening. Every time you're around them, they bring up old mistakes, old habits, or old versions of you that you've long outgrown. They make comments like, "Oh, remember when you used to mess everything up?" Or, "You've always been like this." Don't pretend you've changed. It's frustrating, isn't it? You've done the work to grow, and yet they act like none of it matters. The truth is, some people are deeply uncomfortable with change, especially when it happens to someone close to them. Your growth challenges their perception of who you are, and for some, that's unsettling. They've built a mental image of you, and instead of updating it to match who you've become, they cling to the old version because it's familiar. It's easier for them to keep you in a box than to confront the reality that people evolve. But here's the thing. Their refusal to see your growth says more about them than it does about you. For some, it's about control. If they can keep you tied to your past, they don't have to face the possibility that you've outgrown them. Maybe they're afraid that your growth will create distance between you, or that it will highlight areas where they've stayed stagnant. Instead of celebrating your progress, they resist it because it makes them feel left behind. And then there are those who use your past against you. They bring up things you've already moved on from, not because they're relevant, but because it gives them power. They might say things like, "Don't forget where you came from," or "You think you're better now, but I remember when you weren't." These comments are designed to pull you back, to make you feel small, and to remind you of a version of yourself that no longer fits. It's their way of keeping you in check, of ensuring you don't get too big in their eyes. It's exhausting, isn't it? You've worked so hard to grow, to heal, and to become better, and yet you're constantly being dragged back to a place you've already left behind. It's like trying to climb a mountain while someone keeps tugging at your ankles, refusing to let you move forward. But here's what you need to remember. Their refusal to see your growth does not diminish it. You don't need their validation to prove that you've changed. The work you've done, the progress you've made, it's real, whether they acknowledge it or not. Their inability to see it doesn't erase it. So, what do you do when someone refuses to see your growth? First, stop trying to convince them. You don't need to explain yourself or prove anything to anyone who's determined to stay blind to your progress. Growth is something you do for yourself, not for the approval of others. If they can't see it, that's their problem, not yours. Next, set boundaries. If their comments or behavior are weighing you down, it's okay to create some distance. You don't have to subject yourself to their negativity or let them pull you back into a version of yourself you've outgrown. Protect your peace, and don't be afraid to limit your interactions with people who refuse to respect your journey. And most importantly, surround yourself with people who do see your growth. Find those friends, mentors, or loved ones who celebrate your progress and encourage you to keep going. These are the people who remind you of how far you've come, who see your potential, and who believe in the person you're becoming. They're the ones who lift you up, not hold you back. It's not easy to let go of people who refuse to see your growth, especially if they've been a part of your life for a long time. But sometimes holding on to those relationships does more harm than good. You deserve to be surrounded by people who see you for who you are now, not who you used to be. Remember, growth is a journey, and not everyone will come along for the ride. Some people will choose to stay behind, clinging to the past because it's easier for them. But that doesn't mean you have to stay there with them. Keep moving forward, keep growing, and trust that the right people will meet you where you are. At the end of the day, your growth is yours. It's a testament to your resilience, your determination, and your ability to evolve. Don't let anyone take that away from you, especially not someone who refuses to see it. You've come too far to let anyone hold you back now. Keep climbing and let them stay at the bottom if that's where they want to be. You've got bigger places to go. And sometimes the pain doesn't come from subtle resistance. It comes from something sharper, more personal. 4. People who have betrayed you. Betrayal. It's one of those words that stings just thinking about it. If you've ever experienced it, you know exactly what I mean. It's not just the act itself, it's the ripple effect it leaves behind. The shock, the disbelief, the ache deep in your chest when someone you trusted turns their back on you. It feels like the ground beneath you has cracked open, leaving you scrambling to hold on to something solid. And the worst part, It almost always comes from someone you never expected. Betrayal doesn't happen in a vacuum. It comes from people who were close to you. Friends, family, partners, colleagues. People you let into your life, your heart, your plans. That's what makes it hurt so much. If it came from a stranger, it wouldn't cut as deep. But when it's someone you trusted, someone you counted on, it feels like they've taken a piece of you and shattered it. At first, you might try to make sense of it. You replay every conversation, every decision, every moment leading up to it, wondering where things went wrong. Maybe you blame yourself. Did I miss the signs? Was I too trusting? Did I do something to deserve this? You question everything, your judgment, your relationships, even your worth. That's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't just hurt your feelings, it shakes the foundation of how you see the world. And then comes the anger. Oh, the anger, it burns hot and fast, filling the space where your trust used to be. You think about all the ways they wronged you, all the lies they told, all the times they pretended to care. You want to confront them, to make them see what they've done, to demand answers. But deep down, you know that even if you got those answers, they wouldn't make the pain go away. The hardest part of betrayal isn't the act itself, it's what comes after. It's the process of picking up the pieces, of figuring out how to move forward when the person you thought was in your corner turned out to be the one who knocked you down. It's the lingering doubt, the fear that it could happen again. It's the way betrayal changes you, making you more guarded, more cautious, less willing to let people in. But here's the thing, betrayal doesn't have to define you. Yes, it's a wound, and yes, it takes time to heal. But it's also a lesson, a painful one, sure, but a lesson nonetheless. It teaches you about boundaries, about trust, about the importance of protecting your peace. It shows you who people really are, and sometimes that clarity is worth the pain. So what do you do when someone betrays you? First, allow yourself to feel everything. The hurt, the anger, the confusion. Don't push it down or pretend it doesn't exist. Betrayal is a loss, and like any loss, it deserves to be grieved. Cry if you need to. Scream if you need to. Write it all down. Talk to someone you trust. Do whatever helps you process the emotions. Next, distance yourself from the person who betrayed you. This doesn't mean you have to cut them off completely, though in some cases, that might be necessary. But it does mean creating space to heal. You can't move forward if you're constantly being reminded of the betrayal. Protect your energy and don't feel guilty for prioritizing your well-being. And then, take a step back and reflect. What did this experience teach you? What red flags did you miss? What boundaries do you need to set moving forward? Betrayal often feels like a setback, but it can also be a springboard for growth. Use it as an opportunity to learn more about yourself and what you need in your relationships. Most importantly, don't let betrayal close you off from the world. It's tempting to build walls, to keep people at arm's length so you don't get hurt again. But the truth is, those walls don't just keep out the bad, they also keep out the good. Yes, you'll be more cautious, and yes, you'll take your time trusting people again. But don't let one person's actions rob you of the chance to experience meaningful connections. Forgiveness is another piece of the puzzle, though it's one that takes time. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting what happened or excusing their behavior. It means letting go of the anger and resentment so you can move forward. It's not about them, it's about freeing yourself from the weight of what they did. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself, not them. Betrayal hurts, but it doesn't have to break you. You're stronger than you think, and you have the power to rebuild, to heal, and to create a life that's even better than before. The person who betrayed you doesn't define your story, you do. So take your time, feel your feelings, and trust that you'll come out the other side stronger, wiser, and more resilient. And when you do, when you've healed and grown and learned to trust again, that's when you'll realize that betrayal doesn't win. You do. So if you've ever left someone's home feeling unseen, unheard, or quietly diminished, know this. You're not being dramatic. You're finally learning to protect what's precious. Because as we age, our peace becomes more than just a preference. It becomes sacred ground, hard-earned, easily threatened. And no matter how kind, how generous, how understanding you've been in the past, you do not owe anyone continued access to your energy if they use it to diminish you. The people you choose to be around in your later years should not make you shrink, second-guess, or explain yourself. They should feel like safety, like warmth, like home. So choose wisely, love deeply, and protect fiercely. And if this message spoke to something quiet inside you, leave a comment and share your story. You never know who you'll help by being real. And if you'd like more conversations like this, please like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Here, your voice matters, your journey matters, and your peace is worth defending.